right, all you guys and gals out there, players and playerettes, dudes and dudettes, we are getting this out just a couple days late because Murph had the audacity to decide he needed to make money and continue his retirement. He had to pay for his pool. So he decided to fly off and go somewhere and be a capitalist, imperialist pig. So what'd you do? Where'd you go? And how come you weren't here when we needed you?
Well, the whole idea of this, everything we do is so that the Murphys don't have to eat cat food in retirement here. So we're getting close. It's been a lean 2 years with COVID. But Javier and I went down to the Dallas, Texas, spoke to the Young Presidents Organization down there, a group of fantastic people. I mean, we've done a lot of EOs and YPOs around the world, and they're always the best audiences. They have a great time, excellent food, the bar is open for everybody, and they always have these cool venues. This place in Dallas, I mean, it looked like the artwork in there was unbelievable. They had helmets from World War I and World War II and Europe, and just a really fun time. But if you listeners, if you hear Morgan a little bit sad in his voice this morning because he's not quite as energetic as usual, well, he's having a sad day today. So tell us about that, Mr. Morgan.
It's a sad day after.
Get your tissue.
Actually, my wife actually shed a couple tears. So you car enthusiasts out there will understand this. So my oldest boy got a few too many tickets, and he'd only had this one car for like 8 months, literally, and his insurance was going through the roof.
Oh, geez.
It was a 2000 Camaro Super Sport, silver, black top, T-tops, original, a real Super Sport, had what's called the LS1 engine in there, had the SLP upgrades, had the 3.5-inch, what's called catback exhaust, so bigger exhaust from the catalytic converter catback, better than the 2-inch exhaust that was on there, make it sound like awesome. And I put just new tires and rims. We've kept this in the garage for 17 years. I mean, we take it out, it's got less than 4,000 miles a year on it.
Wow.
We would just take it as touring and, but bought the new Telluride, and we got a 2021 Kia Telluride this last May. It's coming up on a year now.
Wow.
And but it was one of those things, we had more cars than garage spaces, and my wife needs to park her vehicle in the driveway. We got to get it out of the street. And I had to sell it. No. But I'll tell you what, I put it on Facebook. I dealt with some idiots. I'm sorry, folks, if you're out there. I put it clearly in there. I said, first of all, price is firm. And then second of all is no trades. Because people say, hey, I'll trade you this for that. Dude, I'm not interested in trading. I'm interested in getting rid of cars, not, keeping the same number of cars. So, but hey, tell you what, you perseverance and stuff. So after 2 weeks of being on there and all sorts of weird ass messages, had a guy from Miami going, I'll fly up, I'll fly. Just tell me when I'm going to come in. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who you are, but we ain't doing that. So, but I'll tell you what I found. I found a son and a father, and the father is a true enthusiast. When we met, he showed me pictures of the Corvette Z01 he had. He showed pictures of previous muscle cars he had. He does pretty well. He's got a construction business. They build schools all over Maryland. And his son, you could tell right away, good kid. And and we had some discussions. So it was like they had been looking at Camaros. This was the best one they looked at because my paint is basically flawless. The body's in great shape. No dings, no dents on the side of the door like you get when people open it up. Because I always parked away from people, and plus being in the garage, no leaks. I had the whole Carfax record just pristine, and I had to sell it.
Actually, I think people park away from you instead of you away from people.
Doesn't matter. The effect is the same. Stay the hell away from my car. I do the same thing with my Telluride too. My wife, I'll drop her off. Like we'll go to Costco. I'll drop her off, and then I'll park in the next county.
That's Connie's. I sometimes I drop her off, and sometimes I don't. She's like, "Why are we parking in the North 40 out here?"
I don't want people touching my car. But anyway,
my truck. Don't mess with my truck.
Don't mess with my truck. So anyway, folks, that's why I'm sad today. But anyway, I'm happy because we have a case of the month, and Murph doesn't know exactly what it is yet. I think you do. You just forget.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here on Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Saturday. Whatever. We're getting this out. So an episode that's coming out this next Monday is Ted Dolan. Ted was the inspiration for Canines for Cops. His dog Bleck was killed during a search for some burglars. But kind of, so what am I? So Ted piles on with Murph, and they start making fun of troopers. And it's like, okay, I have to do something to redeem troopers in your eyes. So I have the case, Murph.
Okay.
That when I get done, you're going to have newfound respect for troopers.
We'll see.
No, you will. And trust me, this is, I don't want to make light of the case because it was a very significant one. We were hoping to record this, and like I said, Murph had to take off and leave me. But
I had to go work.
Yeah. But April 19th, 1995 was the Oklahoma City bombing. So we just had the 27th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing. And it's personal to me for a few reasons that you'll find out. I was at a law enforcement conference in Orlando, Florida, by the way, a 2-week conference when the bombing happened. And so a lot of us were like, a couple guys actually from Oklahoma had to leave. They were on the next plane out of there. So, but then as the investigation goes on and you started realizing the ties back to Kansas, then I started realizing the ties. So anyway, the reason I want to talk about this, a lot of people have heard about the Oklahoma City bombing, and people know that Timothy McVeigh was stopped by an Oklahoma Highway Patrol trooper Charlie Hanger. But a lot of people don't know exactly how the FBI was able to identify Timothy McVeigh and arrest him before he got out of jail. And let me tell you, Murph, had it not been for a couple, and I've listened to the video, I've heard Charlie Hanger speak before. He calls it divine intervention. Had it not been for a couple strange things that happened, McVeigh would have made it out of jail and may have been very impossible to find. But he did not make it out. So, let me walk you through kind of what happened, because everybody realized, 9:02 a.m. on April 19th, 1995, it was the Oklahoma City bombing. And so what happened was Charlie Hanger was working out of an area called Noble County. And once this happens, he got dispatched, said, hey, look, you need to head to Oklahoma City. And of course, he starts doing that. Then he started heading that way, and they said, no, you need to remain in your patrol area, go back to, regular traffic enforcement and do that stuff. So a little bit of background on Charlie Hanger. Charlie was kind of like me. Some people would say, said kind of by the book, said you'd write your own mother a ticket. And I said, negative. I would never write my own mother a ticket. However, I would hold her, call another trooper, and have that trooper issue the ticket. So people would say, you're heartless. No. But Charlie was by the book. In fact, a funny story about Charlie Hanger is that he was called he was testifying in a jury trial one time. And the 12 people who were finally seated, they said, any of you guys got a ticket before? 10 of the 12 people on the jury had all been ticketed by Trooper Hanger.
By the same person? Holy! And he's an Oklahoma trooper?
He's an Oklahoma trooper, yeah. So on the just on a regular jury trial, not the Oklahoma City one, but on a regular jury trial, yeah. Holy 10 cow. Of the 12 people ended up and they still found the guy guilty. So,
I'm surprised the prosecutor didn't strike them all.
Yeah, well, that's what you thought, but may have been that he wrote everybody tickets. So this was the 10 that there was only 2 left that hadn't been written tickets. So
yeah, he's waiting on them when they got out of the courtroom.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through. I actually have the actual trial transcripts from the federal trial, and I pulled some interesting things out of that because there's a lot of things that have to happen for them to finally get back to Timothy McVeigh before he's released out of jail. But basically, like we said, it starts, the explosion happens. Nobody knows what's going on at that time. Mm-hmm. Of course, first thing we think a foreign terrorist, some kind of foreign group maybe that's responsible for this, but they don't know because it's just chaos. And we actually have an episode coming up with the FBI agent who worked the pizza bomber case. And it was the same thing he said. It's just all chaos, just chaos. And as you start managing it, you finally get into an investigative rhythm, but it's just chaos at the beginning. And obviously, this one's huge because 168 people were killed, 19 of them children. So this is a huge case. And the FBI name for the case was Oak Bomb, OKBOMB, Oak Bomb. So anyway, Charlie's working this. And he's called to help they get a report of a broken down vehicle. So he's there, and then he's trying to get back to his area, but he's going pretty fast, get back to his area because he's got to get back on patrol. He was headed towards Oklahoma City. Now he's headed back, and he's about 35 miles from the Kansas-Oklahoma border on I-35, which becomes very important. So he's starting to pull around this 77 Mercury. And as he's pulling by it, he gets past it and then realizes this thing does not have a tag on it. So that's the initial reason for this. So he stops, lets the car pass him, pulls in behind him, and pulls him over. Well, so when you're calling those in, I can tell you, and Murph, I know you did that too. Back in back in the hills of West Virginia.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. But you get vehicles. So what you had to do is you had to give it a description, like one white male, yellow Mercury, 4-door, approximately 75 to 80, whatever. You have to give them a description because if something happens, they have to have something to go on. So it's a 77 Mercury. He's got this thing pulled over, and in his own words, from the articles and from his statements and gifts, he says there was something. He just felt something hinky about this. He wasn't sure what it was. So he's approaching, but as he gets up there, McVeigh is also getting out of the vehicle at the same time. And, I prefer for people to stay in the vehicle until I tell them to get out because I don't want them, with the ability to confront me. You kind of want to control it, right?
Right.
So, but they meet at the back of the car. And of course, Charlie says, Trooper Hanger says, hey, the reason I stopped you is there's no registration. I need to see your driver's license. And so he's got a jacket on with a T-shirt underneath, and he reaches into his back pocket of his jeans to pull out the wallet. And what Trooper Hanger says is that when he does that, when you reach your arm back and you've got a jacket on, it tightens up the jacket, right? He saw the imprint of a weapon, what he thought was a gun. So he says, hey, basically, okay, stop right there. Unzip that jacket a little bit, and when he does, he grabs that bulge, pulls out his gun, and he says he screws it into the back of the guy's head, basically puts it into the back of his head, and says, don't move, gets him at the back of the trunk, and he starts to, he unzips the rest of the jacket, grabs the weapon, and when he does, McVeigh, this is one of the lines actually out of court, and so when he gets him, let me see, I'm pulling it up right here. Oh, yeah. So he's asking him, he says, why didn't he have a tag? He says, well, I don't have a bill of sale. I said, could you provide me a bill of sale? He said, well, the man I bought the car from is still filling out the bill of sale. And Hanger says, well, how long does it take to fill out a bill of sale? So anyway, this is exactly what happened. What happened? And let me just read from a little bit of the transcript because you see how these get started. Question. What happened after that? Answer. As he was going to his right rear pocket to retrieve his billfold, he had on a blue windbreaker type jacket that was just slightly zipped. So when he went to his pocket, it tightened this jacket up somewhat, and I could see a bulge under his left arm. And I thought that was a weapon under his arm. Question: what did you do at that point? I looked at the driver's license, looked at him, then I instructed him to take both hands, unzip his jacket, and to very slowly move his jacket back. He did that, and then as he was slowly started pulling it back, just as he started doing it, he said, I have a gun. When Mr. McVeigh said that he told you had a gun, what did you do? I grabbed for the bulge and I said, put your hands up and turn around. Did he comply? Yes. What happened then? I removed my pistol from my holster and I stuck it to the back of his head. And this is one of the most iconic lines out of the trial. He said, what happened then? Or he said, I instructed him to walk to the trunk. Where was your gun at that point? It was stuck in the back of his head. Okay, did Mr. McVeigh say anything to you as he walked to the back of the automobile? Yes. What did he say? He said, my weapon is loaded. What was your response? I said, so is mine.
Yeah, because if it ain't loaded, it's a paperweight. It's not a weapon.
And what's one of Morgan's pet peeves of these movies, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is when they go to rack a round into it, is you always carry it loaded, right?
Yeah, and in the movies, it's either the good guys or the bad guys. Both of them do that. Nobody carries a round in the chamber.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Well, like you say, it's no good at that point. It's just a bludgeon. It's a blunt instrument. So we also found out he had a knife and a spare clip on him. And but Murph, you'll appreciate this. He had some regular like ball ammunition, full metal jacket, just stuff, for shooting. But he had a 45. The rounds that were loaded in his weapon were 45 black Talons.
Wow. So he had a Glock, is that right?
Yeah, he had a Glock. So
21 is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So you, Mr. Firearms Instructor, why are black Talons a little bit? Why does that get the wow factor from you?
Yeah, those are commonly referred to as cop killer bullets. They will go through body armor. Those are designed to kill people. That's all they're for.
Yeah, that's he didn't know that till he unloaded it later. But he said, "But did you notice anything about this bullet when you removed it from the chamber?" Yes, it was a black Talon round, 45 caliber. What's a black Talon? Obviously, mushrooms produces tentacles, is what he said. But yeah, it's definitely, and it's got those things are designed, like I said, in the old days too. They could penetrate some of the older body armor because they weren't as good as it is today.
I think they're Teflon coated, if I remember right.
Some of those might have been Teflon coated, and that's the other thing too. Teflon is designed to slice right through that Kevlar. But anyway, so what happened was he gets him arrested. He's got his driver's license with his real name on there. This is going to become important. It's got his real name and date of birth on there. Now, here's the part people don't get, and this is why this was so important, and this is why one of the things when I was working on at the Department of Justice on the case, I wanted to change this because as an investigator, I knew what the value of this information would be. But Steve, when you worked on a case, did you ever have occasion to take somebody's name and check it historically through what was called NCIC offline?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So NCIC offline, basically what it is if I were to stop Murph on the side of the road as a trooper, which he doesn't like troopers, makes fun of them as much as the FBI, but which means you're getting a ticket, pal. If I'm stopping you, you're getting a ticket.
I like troopers. I'm just giving you a hard time.
But if I run Steve's name and it comes back no record, is like, in other words, he's not wanted. There's no warrants out for him. There's no entry. The part that always frustrated me was it went into a database and it went to an offline, basically, database.
Right.
And it didn't do anybody any good because if Murph gets stopped, 2 days later by another agency, say in Colorado, and he says, "Have you been stopped anywhere?" He could say, "No." There was really no way to check to see has he been stopped somewhere else. You would have had to do, and these searches at that time were kind of manual. You had to call in, make a request. I don't know about you. When I was doing them on a couple cases, I mean, it took me sometimes 5 to 10 days to get results back.
It's ridiculous. There's nothing speedy about it whatsoever. But it's like you said, it's because of the manual search. Things weren't automated then.
So Timothy McVeigh's name goes into the NCIC offline database. And so here's what's interesting is that, so his name is run on the side of the road. The VIN number, the vehicle identification number, is also checked. He's got no registration. It's not registered in Kansas. It's not registered in Colorado. And he had an Arkansas safety sticker. It's not even registered in Arkansas. So there's no record on the vehicle. So he gets him. He's got his identification. He checks him. And they had no criminal history. And what happened was when Charlie, Trooper Hanger had got the gun, he threw that on the side of the road along with the extra clip and stuff. Mm-hmm. When he arrested him, he takes that stuff and puts it in the trunk of his car. Now, here's what's interesting. Things have changed because if I, personally, or if I'd stopped you and your vehicle had no registration, had no insurance, that thing's getting towed. Mm-hmm. But I think what I really think was because of what was going on that day, because it's Oklahoma City and the bombing. He basically says, look, I can tow it and inventory it, or I can leave it on the side of the road. If I leave it on the side of the road, it's at your risk. It's at your choice. And McVeigh says, yeah, just leave it on the side of the road. So they leave it on the side of the road. But when he gets into the car, he originally advises him of his rights off of a Miranda card. And McVeigh says, yeah, I'll talk to you. He says, why didn't you have a tag? Here's a key thing that ties him back to what's going on. Of all the places he could say that he bought the car from, he says Junction City, Kansas. Junction City is going to be very important here in a little bit because that is where they actually, the Ryder truck is rented from. That's where a hotel he stays at, and that's how they identify and get his name and tie him to this. And I'll walk you through that here in a second. So he said he gave $250 for the car because his car broke down. A Firestone dealer, dude named Tom. Of course, we've all been that. What's his name? Tom. Okay.
It's like who works for the CIA,
Paul, Mike, Bob, Tom. He said he hadn't had a chance to get the tag. So, and here's the other thing too, is Trooper Hanger says, can I search your car? And McVeigh goes, yeah, sure. One of the most important pieces of evidence does not come from McVeigh's car. It comes from what happens while Trooper Hanger is searching McVeigh's car because... Hey everyone, this is just a portion of what you're going to hear when you join patreon.com/Game of Crimes. If you want to hear what the end of this story is about how Timothy McVeigh was actually caught, how Trooper Charlie Hanger changed the course of the investigation with just a single traffic stop, including one of the most potentially incriminating pieces of information found in his patrol vehicle, you got to join us. Patreon.com/Game of Crimes. We've got over 80 pieces of original content on there. Things we do like 911, what's your emergency, to things like you can't make this shit up, some of the funniest stories you probably have never heard of. We also do things like our live stream review, Patriots Day. We've got Case of the Month. We've got our bonus episodes. And in fact, we've got coming up, if you are at the right level, we will have probably a 16-part episode on the Real DEA, talking about the Real DEA Narcos Cali edition, about how Chris Feistel and Dave Mitchell brought down the four horsemen, the four gentlemen of the Cali cartel. Details you will not hear anywhere else, including on Narcos Netflix, only on Game of Crimes over here at Patreon. More information about how to join is in the podcast description. So once again, become a player in the biggest, baddest, most dangerous game of all, the Game of Crimes, only found at patreon.com/Game of Crimes.